thank you for letting me be a part of today. I was a teacher for a long time, so I appreciate what John said. Thanks for all the things that you do to make learning come to life for your students. I'm a huge member of the fan club for the Arkansas Heart Hospital from personal experience, so it's like all my favorites here today. Sue's right. A lot of you probably looked and thought, what in the world does economics have to do with health? And we think it has a lot to do. I'm going to show you a number, and I want you to talk to the people around you and tell me what you think this number represents. 1440. Anybody any ideas? Let me hear some answers. What do you think? What do you think? No answers? Anybody with a guess? 1440 is the number of minutes we have in every day. And we say in the world of economic education that you make a lot of decisions in those 1440 minutes, right? And a lot of the times we do it because we want to be something or we don't want to be. So some of you may be cold in here and you want to be warmer. Some are hot in here, you want to be cooler. You want to be entertained, you want to be stylish. Well, today we're going to talk about ways you can be healthy and help our students learn the benefits of healthy decision making. So 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students in our state have in the social studies standards this concept of the PACE decision-making grid. And I hope you have one in front of you. So it's a yellow piece of paper. You need to grab one. And so I'm going to have to borrow from my Cooper friend back here, Institute. If you don't have a pencil to write with, you're going to have to write in the air with your on your paper what you would write as we work through this process, okay? So today I have brought with me my little magic wand, and I'm going to make it beautiful outside because it's really not, right? But we're going to pretend it's the best of the best weather for you, and I'm giving you the gift of time, which is often very scarce. You have an afternoon to do something that is healthy, right? So I want you to look at your PACE decision-making grid. And we're going to look at what the P stands for, and the P stands for problems. Now, are problems always bad? No. In this case, we have the problem of we have to determine what we're going to do as a healthy activity in an afternoon time, right? And today's our day to do it. So what does the A on that grid say? Alternatives, and those are our options, right? We have a lot of options. If it were a beautiful day in Morrilton and we went outside, we'd see a lot of people doing things that were healthy. So around the room, I've put some alternatives, and I'm going to ask you to kind of stick with the alternatives, although I bet you could think of things that are better. It's just going to help for our activity, okay? So around the room you see, you could go for a bike ride. So listen, and as you hear these brought out, I want you to think of 4 things that are maybe options you'd think of, right? So you could go for a bike ride, you could go dance, play golf, go for a hike, jump rope, play basketball, read a fit magazine. Okay, so I know that one might be a stretch, but sometimes we kind of rationalize things in our mind, so that's there. Run, swim, play tennis, walk, wash a car, watch a baseball game on TV, work out at the gym, or yoga. Okay, so there's a lot of alternatives. So you to think of the 4 that kind of stick out in your head, oh, I might like to do that. I kind of go back to Dr. Murphy's slide, like it should be something fun, right? So think of things that might interest you as 4 alternatives. And if you have something to write with, jot them down. If not, just put them on the blanks in your head, okay? So my alternatives that I considered are that I could play tennis, I might go for a walk, I might go work out at the gym, or I could go for a swim. All right, so what does the C stand for in the PACE decision-making grid? It's the criteria. So that's what's valuable to us, what's important to us. And is everyone's criteria the same? No. If you go to Walmart and you need a tube of toothpaste, there's an aisle full of options, right? Because you have different things that stick out to people. Well, so it is the same with exercise. So here's my criteria. Yours might not be anything like this. Because one of the things we teach in economics is the concept of scarcity. There's not enough time, there's not enough space, there's not enough resources. If all I have is an afternoon, I want to do something that I can exercise, but it's not going to take me a lot of extra travel time because time is the big scarcity problem for us. I also want to think, here's a little economics, I don't want to do anything that's going to cause me any extra cost to do my activity, whatever it is I choose. here's something important for me to consider. Do I have the skill set to actually do the activity? That's kind of important. And then, is it something I can do by myself? Now, some of you like to exercise with all your buddies, but some people just are happy to go exercise all by themselves. I'm kind of one of those people. You could put some other things like the amount of calories you might burn in that activity. There's a lot of criteria. That's just mine. Okay, so everybody has their 4 alternatives. I hope you're nodding because you're going to have to do something in a minute, right? So you have your 4 alternatives. You've considered criteria that's important for you. So what does the E stand for? What does it say? Evaluate. So you're going to put each one of your criteria and alternatives to the test to see which one might be best for you. Our goal in economic education is not to teach kids what to think, but we do want to equip them with the skills to know how they know to make an informed choice for themselves, what's best for them, right? So none of those would be bad, but what's best for me in my afternoon might stick out in just a moment. So you can do it a variety of ways. Sometimes you can put happy face, sad face, or plus or minus, or you can rank order them. So I'm going to go through tennis, and then I'm going to let you kind of work through what you put on your page, and I'm going to continue to work on mine, okay? So guess what? I do not have a tennis court right by my house. So I would have to drive somewhere, which would take out part of my afternoon. So to me, that's kind of a negative. I probably would have to pay for the privilege of playing tennis. And this is the dead giveaway for me on this one. My skill set for playing tennis is very low. So that would be a negative. And could I play it by myself? Not really. So for that alternative, guess how many points I gave that one? 0, right? It gets a score of 0. So I'm going to keep working through mine, and you now need to look at yours and see the same process. And I'm going to give you a couple minutes, and then we're going to come back together, and I'm going to show you what happened with me, and then you're going to tell the others in the room what happened to you, okay? Okay, so I'm thinking that I hear you talking and discussing these alternatives, hopefully, and maybe you've tallied them up. So sometimes when you make a decision, there's one that really sticks out easy, like that's an obvious choice. Sometimes it's not so obvious. So when you tallied yours up, did you have any that were a tie? Like all the way across, you could do any of them? If you did, then what do you think you need to do? Does anybody know? You could either add another criteria or weight the criteria that's most important to you. So if travel time was the most, and that could be a tiebreaker, sometimes you have to add a criteria or weight a criteria. So for me, when I tally up, you can see what's best for me. That's the most fun thing. It takes no prep time. It's relaxing to me, and I enjoy it, right? So I'm going to go for a walk. I don't know what you're going to do, but I do want you to stand up because you're going to take your paper and you're going to walk, here's a little bit of an exercise, to the alternative you would choose if you had an afternoon today free to do something healthy. Where would you go? Wow, look at all these healthy people in Morrilton. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at the people that you're with, and I want you to ask if you have the same criteria. So you have to do a little talking now. Turn to the people who have the same response as you. See if your criteria was the same. Okay, so we're coming to all these bike riders over here. So we're going to hear what their criteria was that led them to their choice. Who wants to share?
Well, we said it was pretty cheap to ride a bike. You know, there's some initial cost, but once you buy a bike, you've got one. We also have stationary bikes that we can ride while we watch TV. So, and it's also easy to ride a bike because you can load your bike up and take it somewhere, but you can get on your bike and just ride from your house.
Very good. Excellent. So I like that decision. Okay, so who else wants to share? Gosh, look at all the walkers here. Okay, so somebody from the walking group, who's going to share? Nobody wants to share now.
Different people talk.
There we go.
I'm walking. We all walk. We've got to walk, but it's free. It doesn't cost a thing. Even when it's raining like today, we can walk inside. You can walk with your partner or friend. You can walk on your own and listen to your music. You can put a little pep in your step or take your time. What are some other things we said? It's free. It doesn't cost a dime. And You might see someone you haven't seen in a while and visit. Minimal skills. Like I said, we all walk. We learned to walk when we were toddlers.
Very good. Okay, so is there anybody else that really wants to share? Okay.
We decided while all of you are swimming and walking, you're wasting time when you could be healthy and productive by washing your car. So I started to go swim, but I thought, man, while I'm laying out and swimming, I'm thinking about all the other things I need to be doing. So we're going to wash our car. Two birds, one stone. I got lost track of what I was saying.
No, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day with my wand, remember? Okay, anybody back there want to share? Oh,
Anybody? I want to dance with you all night. Well, that's the night away. Dancing, you can do it inside, you can do it outside, you can do it any place you go to. You can dance with your vacuum. I can dance with my mop.
Sue was dancing. She loves to dance. Okay, so the golfing group said sometimes golfing is like a dance. Is that what you said? Brad, go, Brad.
Yeah. I mean, golf can be like anything. Walking. I mean, you can go walk 6 miles on a golf course while golfing if you choose to walk. Some people, if they're like Drew Jackson over there and have really good golf swings, I mean, it can be like a dance move. They pivot all the way around. But, you got to be outdoors, you got to be active, and, there are some inconvenient things similar to cycling. It can be expensive, but I enjoy it, and it's, a nice time to get out and enjoy the day.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, so here's what you need to know. In economics, when you make a choice, you give up something, right? And it's called your opportunity cost. So it's the value of the next best alternative. So if you're looking at your sheet, like for me, 4 was to walk, but I had a 3 on my group. So I want you now to move to your opportunity cost. Not everything else, just the one thing that's next best on your list. Where would you go? Okay, so I think we always have to figure that out. We have to weigh the cost and benefits and make sure we are at the best choice. Okay, so I think we all feel pretty proud of ourselves and our decision-making skills. So I'm going to let you sit back down. And I want to talk to you about the next D in the PACE decision-making model. Okay, so quick review without looking. What does the P stand for? Problem. What are the A? C? E? D? Decide. Right. So even though we feel happy that we've thought of a really great healthy activity, whether it's washing your car or going for a bike ride, have we burned any calories other than that little walking? No. So some people think that there should be another D when you talk about the PACE decision-making model. And do you know what that should be? Do it, right? You can't live a healthy lifestyle and think you're doing something great unless you do it. So a lot of times in my head, I think about things that would be great. Like I think about going to walk every afternoon when I get home, and then something happens and I rationalize that I shouldn't or I don't have time for it. But we have to do it if we're going to have those healthy lifestyles. So I'm going to talk to you about a couple of truths that deal with choices. So first truth is people choose. So our wise man that knew 1440 meant the number of minutes in a day, we make choices all the time. And some of them are easy, but some of them really do require us to think through. We always tell kids, you're not going to probably take that around in your back pocket like a sheet of paper that helps you, but maybe you'll pause to consider the steps. Although, honestly, we have adults who tell us they do use that grid when they're making big decisions, and it helps them to kind of think rationally, not just with their heart. Okay? All choices involve a cost. Not always a financial cost, but there is the cost of time that goes into what you give up. There's a cost of resources, so we all make choices. Here's one that I'm going to skip to, and I'm going to come back to this last one. Truth. The consequences of our choices lie in the future. That can be good or bad. So if I had done this decision-making model with my brother 3 months ago, and I would have said, what do you want to do? You need to go out and do some exercise. He would have said, I don't have time. I'm busy. He's an attorney. He does have a full schedule. If I were to do this with him today, his decision-making grid would be totally different. because 3 months ago he had a heart attack. And he went to the heart hospital and had surgery and immediately went to the cardiac rehab group. So now his decision making on how to live a healthy lifestyle is totally different. He walks every day. He eats only what Chef Mark has taught him in the cardiac rehab. That's what he's going to, and he's lost 30 pounds because now he sees the benefit of a healthy lifestyle. But unfortunately, it came after the fact, right? He had to have the consequence before he realized the decision making. We can't impact decisions that have already happened. We can only look towards the future to help. So I think that's why it's so important for our children to learn these decision making skills now, so that they won't be faced with those staggering stats that we just looked at. You have the power. And I think one thing that I heard that's also a truth is that people respond to incentives in predictable ways. So I know you're going to have competitions. You're going to have like the best at different things, and there's a lot of competitive people in this room, I can tell. I know your students will be competitive also, but you have the gift to help increase your kids' human capital, to invest in them so that they can grow and realize so they won't end up as a stat or someone who's looking backwards having to catch up for decisions they made with their health. So that's the PACE decision-making grid, and I brought a blank sheet up here on the table, so I'm going to challenge you in the next 1,440 minutes, the next day of your life, I'm going to ask you to look through and make a decision with either you or your family to see how easy it is so that you make informed choices that are best for you. Thank you.